Monday Night Raw. I gotta tell you, boys, I don't mind the Joshi Bloodline story. I actually like it. The acting's pretty bad, but I still like it. I like the Asuka, Io, Kyrie, Rhea Ripley thing. Hey, it's over with me. I like it. I cannot say the same for much else on the show. Admittedly, I can't say the same for much else. Raw, September the 29th, 2025. Ooh, I was way in the future. Brain rotted. Bad. Okay. So let's start with the Joshi Bloodline. So the story, as we said it right now, is Rhea Ripley is upset with Asuka and Kyrie for what they did to Io. But Io still loves them, still sees them as family, and kind of wants Rhea Ripley to forget about it. Asuka pops up on the big screen, said that she paved the way for Io, she mentored Io, she taught Io everything she knew, but because Io loves her, if she just apologizes and be's like Kyrie, she can be her student again. Rhea tells Asuka to go to hell, and Io is upset about this. Io said, I need more time. I need more time. I need more time. And then she runs off. And then Asuka and Kyrie, they jump Rhea Ripley. Io comes back, kind of to help. They spit mist in her face, just misted her to hell, like they did Rhea Ripley last week. That mist is getting pretty nasty. Whew, it's getting bad. Anyway, they beat the hell out of Rhea Ripley. And Rhea Ripley wants to have a tag team match at Crown Jewel between the four of them. Kyrie comes up to Io later to tell her to apologize to Asuka so that they could be a family again. He just needs her to apologize to Asuka. And she's, Kyrie, I couldn't wait for me. Hey, Kyrie, leave me alone. Leave me alone, Kyrie. And I was just... Look, I like this shit, all right? Hey, this is what I watch wrestling for. I watch wrestling for drama. This is good. This is very good. Asuka is on her... It's got to be like 10th wind. Like, Asuka is just unkillable. Like, no matter what you do to her, she finds a way to rejuvenate this character. And this woman is above 40 years old. All right? And she just came off of a really long injury not too long ago. And now she is just as interesting now as she was 5 years ago. She's just as interesting now as she was almost 10 years ago. She's been in WWE almost 10 years. And Asuka's been incredibly successful. This is probably the longest she's gone without a title. But this is the first real, I guess you could say, intricate storyline that she's been a part of. Usually her storylines are tag teams and championships and stuff like that. So I'm incredibly impressed with how they're getting Asuka, you know, as a person without a title, getting her to this position. And you have 3 people in this storyline who don't speak good English, but the emotions and everything are still understandable because you know the relationship between them. Asuka has been doing the Kana-chan TV, kind of explaining the storyline. It's been in Japanese, but if you are interested, you know, it's laid out right there. But even if you're not interested in that extra lore from their time in Japan, you still have seen them on WWE TV for long enough. And since you know Asuka is older than Io, and that Japan operates on a hierarchical system, which is also why this works so well, is because it fits very well into Japanese culture, then it makes perfect sense what you see here and what's going on here, that Io had all of this success, but Asuka is kind of taking credit for Io's success, and you wouldn't have been champion without me. You know, I'm the reason you're here. And I think that this is very well done. I think they stumbled upon this, but this is very well done. And Rhea Ripley adding, you know, her popularity to it is really helping. I think if it was just the 3 Japanese girls, it'd still be good, but it'd be like, eh. But having Rhea Ripley in the storyline really helps. This is where she can platform all the other girls. And Kyrie's been doing a good job too. She's been very mousy, very jumpy. They're doing a good job with her being torn in between Io and Asuka, but she's kind of full in on attacking Rhea Ripley because, like, why would she care about Rhea Ripley? So all of that stuff makes sense. So I really like this storyline, and it's the best one they've come up with in a long time. It's much better than what the men are doing at the top. I can tell you, it's better than what the men have been doing at the top for a while. I don't think there's been a great men's storyline since Drew and Punk, and that's been almost 2 years. Dominic Mysterio defeated Rusev, which was a surprise. Not that I thought Rusev was going to win the title. I thought it was going to be a disqualification, but I was very surprised that Rusev took a pin in this match. Dominic Mysterio was the fan favorite, clearly. Rusev was kicking them all in his ass. Dominic tried to get disqualified. He tried to pull a Eddie and do the old belt trick. Didn't work. The referee didn't fall for it. Instead, he kicked Rusev in the nuts while the referee was distracted and rolled him up to get the pin. The crowd loved that. Dominic won. I was surprised that he won. So, I'm not mad about that. Raquel Rodriguez defeated Bayley. Bayley is doing a split personality gimmick. Earlier, she asked Lyra Valkyria to join her, but Lyra said no because Bayley is crazy and all that. And Bayley was like, look, you have a right to be mad, but I can't do this without you. And Lyra was like, no, not interested. So Raquel Rodriguez defeated Bayley, basically because Roxanne Perez helped. So they were doing a lot of cheating. After the match, they were jumping Bayley. They were going to beat her up again. I'm talking about Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez now. And then Lyra ran down there to help. So she ended up getting flattened with a great lariat by Raquel Rodriguez. I'm telling you, Kevin Nash saved her life. She is so much better now. Jesus Christ. Just taking a little bit of advice saved her just so much. Bayley snapped in the corner and started helping the Bird Lady. And she ended up, her and Bird Lady ended up fighting off Roxanne and Raquel. And now Bayley is manic, but she's actually a babyface in manic. So she's called like, get up, you idiot, let's go get him. And she's, grabbing Lyra Valkyria around and all this kind of stuff. Now they're buddies again. I don't know. I did like the one little detail earlier where Bayley was wearing Lyra Valkyria's t-shirt. And then when Lyra rejected her, she took the t-shirt off. I like that. But other than that, I think, again, this Bayley and Lyra Valkyria thing has been going on forever. I don't know where we're going here. I'm not quite sure what we're doing with Lyra and Roxanne and all these characters and why they can't be chasing the Intercontinental Championship. Because heavens to Betsy, something needs to happen there. So we got that going on. The New Day were whining about the tag team titles. LA Knight was upset about what happened last week. We ended up with Kofi Kingston saying that he was a former world champion and LA Knight isn't. And then they ended up having a match which LA Knight won because of course he did. So who cares about that? The Usos were ready. Jimmy was upset that Jay walked off on them last week. Jay was upset that Jimmy tried to help LA Knight and basically said, I said no help. We're not helping this guy. As if he makes the rules. You know what I'm saying? You don't make no rules around him. So then we get the Bronze versus the Usos. This was the main event tornado tag match. Extremely fun match between the four guys here. I feel like I've seen every iteration of them for a while now. And they've been having a bunch of singles matches over the last 2 years. But the Braun Breaker clothesline off the timekeeper's desk onto the announce desk and big crash was great. The very lazy Steiner Bulldog from the top rope because Bronson Reed didn't go down, which could have been dangerous if they if it had been even more lazy, it would have been dangerous. So At one point, the Browns start to dominate because Jimmy went through a table. At this point, once the Browns started dominating, Roman Reigns came out there and started pummeling both guys with chairs. Notice Seth Rollins didn't come helping, neither did anybody else. And this was the perfect setup for the double Uso splash, and the Usos won the match. Following the match, Roman Reigns is clicked up with Jay, and he's got his hands on his shoulders. He's whispering all sorts of sweet nothings to Jay, and Jay's, is like agreeing that they're not going to trust anybody else. It's just them. It's just family. And Jimmy is on the outside looking in. So they're trying to tease more bloodline stuff. They're teasing more bloodline stuff. Might as well go back to it. Ain't nothing else working. But that pop that Roman Reigns got was absolutely massive. I mean, it was insane. It was it moved the building, I think. I don't even know what building they were in, but it kind of shook a little bit. It quivered. I think it got a little nervous in there. I got to tell you, kind of like it. All right, so that's that on the Usos. Obviously, they're still telling this story about Jay and Jimmy not being on the same page. Okay, okie dokie. I guess we'll have to let them flesh that out a little bit more later. Maxine Dupree talks some shit to Becky Lynch, and Tozawa ends up getting hit. And Becky Lynch says that Maxine Dupree is 5'9" a failure, which I thought was funny. It was so funny I wrote it down verbatim, and I very rarely write things down verbatim. Maxine says that a lot of people think that Becky Lynch is the greatest of all time, and Becky Lynch did her gimmick about, yes, everybody's saying it, ESPN saying it, Bleacher Report says it, yada yada says it, and then Maxine says AJ Lee doesn't say it. And so Becky's now offended. So she sucker punches Kira Tozawa and walks off. And as Maxine is consoling Tozawa, Becky Lynch came back and beat her up too. And they're going to have a match next week, which is going to make my eyes bleed. Maxine Dupree, boy, it's been a while. It's been, 3 years on the main roster, I think? Because she was there when Vince was there. Remember, she got brought up as part of LA Knight's gimmick. And this girl hasn't done little to anything. Look, I know she's been working very hard in Natalia's dungeon. But she's been doing this Alpha Academy thing for at least 2.5 years. There has been zero growth. None. In all this time. If you're not going to try to do something different with this girl, what the hell is she? Send her back to NXT. Send her to Evolve or something. I mean, you're not doing anything. These people are not on television. Otis is not on TV. Tozawa's not on TV. What is she floating around for? Why are they still called the Alpha Academy? Why are they still together? Gable left. He left almost a year ago. Well, over a year ago. Speaking of which, where are where's Ivy Nile? Where is the Creed brothers? Where did they go? Where's all these people? Whatever. Anyway, back to this subject. Tozawa put out a tweet last week after he had a match on Main Event, and he says he doesn't know how many more matches he has left in his body. And I was hoping that the answer was 0 and that he would leave and that he would gracefully bow out. But I don't know. He's still there. He's still there. Now he's getting beat up by women. So, look, normally I would complain, but Tozawa's a small man. So it is what it is. And I don't care. So AJ Lee's going to be coming back too. All right. She gets 3 weeks off after her one match. Now she gets 3 weeks off. Okay. I guess she needed those mental health days. So they did a dueling promo segment between Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes, where Seth Rollins says him being 3-0 to Cody Rhodes doesn't matter because all of those wins were in the past. And he is still the man to lead the business into the future because he stayed when times were tough and he brought the company back into a golden age. Cody Rhodes questioned who was in control of the vision, whether it was him or Paul Heyman. Rollins claimed that all decisions go through him, to which Cody said, well, what about the Bronze coming to SmackDown? Clearly that wasn't you. It had to be Paul. But what about Brock Lesnar? Are you okay with Paul walking around and introducing Brock Lesnar? Because they're clearly making fun of the Janelle Grant lawsuit by mentioning that Brock Lesnar's name on the show. Clearly. Every time you mention Brock Lesnar, you're talking about the Janelle Grant lawsuit. Seth Rollins once again says that all decisions go through him. And Cody Rhodes says that he thought Seth Rollins was his friend. After WrestleMania 40, he thought they were friends now. After he bought you that nice watch, we're buddies now. Cody Rhodes is a fool. Okay, he doesn't know how wrestling works. Anyway, Seth Rollins says that WrestleMania 40 was just a means to an end. That Cody Rhodes was basically the least worst option compared to Roman Reigns and The Rock. But he's never going to see Cody as an equal. He would never raise his hand. He will never be friends with him. And he is now obsessed with beating Cody Rhodes to prove that he is the champion of champions and that he should be carrying the company into the future. They also did a retrospective earlier in the night, which I liked, which was basically about their initial trilogy of matches, which took place in 2022. So I did like that they played off the history. I like that they tried to explain, the two characters going in different directions since they had been a super team and main event in WrestleMania together. That's normally something people would be like, do you even bring that up? But yeah, you have to, because that was the last time they were seen on the screen together, and a lot has occurred, at least for Seth Rollins, since that happened. Most important, however, is that for Cody, that was a very special moment that would not have occurred without Seth Rollins being there. So he doesn't become world champion if it wasn't for Seth Rollins' assistance. So he's kind of saying, hey, look, I wouldn't be where I am, without WrestleMania 40 and you helping me. For you to have all this, bitterness is, a little untoward. Where Seth Rollins is looking at Cody similar to the way he looked at CM Punk, similar to how he looked at Roman Reigns, where these guys are constantly leaving while he's holding down the fort. And, he should be appreciated more. Now, I'm kind of tired of that in terms of that being the focal point of Seth Rollins' character for the last 2 or 3 years is, you left, I stayed, I'm the one building this company, I'm the workhorse, because nobody cares about that shit, really. Like Randy Orton doesn't come out and say that stuff, like, all these guys left and I stayed, because nobody cares. Like, nobody gives a shit. Triple H he probably could play that game, and that feels like him talking. Like he would have, if he'd got a chance to feud with Steve Austin after, I don't know, like 2002 or something like that, and Steve Austin had returned in like 2006 or something like that, he probably would have played the same card. You left, you took your ball and went home. I stayed, I built this company, like he would have done that. He would have played that card on The Rock or Mick Foley or something. I was the star, you run away, Nobody cares, man. You just got limited options, brother. That's all that is. You stay because your options limited. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say that for Seth. He definitely could have been a TNA world champion. He certainly could have been a main eventer in Japan, as much as all these people think that he couldn't be. Oh, he could never have kept up with Kenny Omega. Get fucked. All right. So the Cody and Rollins stuff, it's okay, but the match is circumstantial. It's not a match that they're building. It's a match that's happening that now they're going to build behind it. So it's not like we need to have this match. It's a show that needed a match, and the match just needs to have a build, right? So like it doesn't feel organic because the match is going to happen whether the story is decent or not. No matter what they say, the match is going to happen. Because it's booked. It's booked just by nature of them both being champions at the same time. Likewise, they did a segment with Stephanie Vaquer and Tiffany Stratton that really didn't amount to much of anything. Look, see, we were told that they didn't want to have Hell in a Cell matches or TLC matches or whatever because it's that time of the year again and it was bad to do that. And then they created 2 more things that we just have to do because it's that time of the year again, which is King of the Ring, which I'm fine with, and Crown Jewel, which I'm not exactly fine with. I'm fine with the name of the pay-per-view, but having a Crown Jewel match where Stephanie Vaquer has been champion all of 3 weeks, and now all of a sudden I'm supposed to pretend that she's on the same level as Tiffany Stratton, who's been champion since April? Like, I don't know, man. How do you book that to which it makes sense? If Stephanie loses, she's been champion for 3 weeks, she looks like shit. And if she wins, then Tiffany Stratton, who's been champion for like 300 days, looks like shit. It really doesn't benefit anybody to do this. It's that time of the year again, folks. I mean, I guess. Who cares? AJ Styles and Dragon Lee defeated Los Americanos, Bravo and Rayo. And I'm not sure that it's Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate under these masks. I'm not entirely sure. Their physical frames look a whole lot different than those 2 guys. Maybe I'm wrong, but they looked a little different. Anyway, AJ Styles cut a promo saying that they might actually chase the tag team championships, him and Dragon Lee. This was before they even had the match. And then says he got a match with John Cena at Crown Jewel because of the fans. He's going to get to do his favorite thing, which is beat up John Cena. And he got booed a little bit for saying that. Dragon Lee said that this team is fire and it's going to be unstoppable. And that he's the number 1 contender for the AAA Mega Championship. And he's coming for Dominic. And he got like a light applause. People was kind of like, woo, yeah, more Dominic. We like more Dominic. Bring us more Dominic. But this is not going to happen on your TV show. This being said, however, the triple threat match that took place in AAA was Dragon Lee, El Hijo del Vikingo, and El Grande Americano, the triple threat match. That match was fun. That was a very fun match. I don't know if it's up on the YouTube channel yet. I watched the bootleg episode. So I sailed the high seas and managed to watch it. I don't know if it's going to be up officially on the YouTube channel anytime soon. But Dragon Lee versus Dominic Mysterio might be fun. Anyway, AJ Styles and Dragon Lee defeated Los Americanos, which, I'm not surprised about. These guys are jabronis. Who cares? The idea that AJ Styles is in a throwaway match with John Cena is kind of sick. I know that there's a lot of people arguing about whether this match was always going to happen. AJ Styles keeps saying he didn't expect to get the match with John Cena because when you look on TV, everybody else got a storyline with John Cena except him. He didn't get a story. This match was literally built up off Twitter. That was it. It's not like he even challenged John Cena and demanded that John Cena show up in person so he can knock him out or something like that. And the fact that AJ Styles keeps talking about his retirement and there's no build up of that on screen. There's just so much negligence here. The crazy thing is he also didn't recognize that Tanahashi was retiring. And he said he would have loved to have one more match with Tanahashi. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen because Tanahashi is shot. AJ Styles might be a step behind, but Tanahashi is shot to, oh my God. Wrestling him is like wrestling a goddamn standing air conditioner at this point. He's just blowing air. That's pretty much it, dog. But we trying to pretend that AJ Styles and John Cena with something built up over time and not just a fuck it, we ball kind of thing, which I'm still cool with, you know. Just give the people what they want, man. We would have liked a story to attach itself to this, but they gotta save that last John Cena, the last several John Cena matches for, you know, the run up to his final one. But I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that they put any real thought into this John Cena AJ Styles thing. All right, that's it. That's Raw in a nutshell. So you got the Joshi Bloodline leading the show. They're playing second fiddle to Rhea Ripley, but they've been doing a really good job. Commend all the women involved, even though their acting is not very good. The material is still pretty good. The relationships, which is what wrestling is all about, and storytelling is all about, tugging and pulling on the strings that the characters have with each other. This is what factions breaking up and all that kind of stuff is supposed to be for, you know. So this is good. The reuniting of the bloodline, of the original bloodline, the Samoans, with Roman kind of hyping up Jay. He likes this direction that Jay is going in, you know, more aggressive, more focused. Jay cares about nothing but his family. That's an interesting character beat because Roman Reigns is now a babyface. At least on paper, he's a babyface because he's beating up on Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, hard heels. But he's been a bad influence on Jey Uso. You know, he's kind of giving him the whispers where, you know, he's corrupting him a little bit. And Jimmy sees it, and this is what Jimmy was concerned about way back in the gap, that, you know, if Jay finally reached a certain level of success, that he would start acting like Roman. And now he kind of is, and Roman's giving him the big pep talk, and Jay's buying in. And that part, that's interesting. It's interesting. I want to see where it goes. If it ends up with all these Samoans fighting each other again, I'm probably not going to be a fan of that. But I'm interested in seeing where it goes. They keep trying to reheat the nachos of the bloodline. They're never going to stop. Just like the Shield, they're never going to stop. Once something gets popular, it never completely goes away. That's why you got all these DX reunions. You get all these NWO reunions. These things that never go away. The Dudleys and the Hardys are still having matches 25 years later. Edge and Christian. Once something gets over in wrestling, it never completely goes away. It stays alive in some manifestation. And factions is another one. So I'm not surprised that just a couple of years after they separate, well, not even a full year. I think they broke up in, was it early 2025? Where they broke up the bloodline and they ended the story with Solo and Roman. And everybody went their own way for like a couple of weeks, a couple of months, and now they're back together again. You know, Solo's got his own little thing going, but he's introduced 5 or 6 new guys. It's all just mass confusion. But like I said before, these factions, once they get over, they never go away. You know? So I'm not surprised there. The Cody and Seth promos, again, it feels like they're trying to force something here, and I'm not believing it. And part of this is just I don't care about Seth Rollins. I don't care about Seth Rollins being a champion. I don't see him as the star of Monday Night Raw. I don't see him as the biggest star in Monday Night Raw. I don't see him as the biggest star in his faction. He's not even a bigger star than Becky. All right? Now, I'm kind of disappointed that they announced that CM Punk is going to be on Raw next week, which is fine, except there's no good reason why he shouldn't have been on Raw the last 3 weeks. Why wasn't he there before? Dominic Mysterio obviously is a treasure. He should be protected. He's doing a really good job, both in America and in Mexico. I am very disappointed in the booking of AJ Styles versus John Cena, but at least we'll get the match. No Penta. There's no good reason to not have Penta. Rusev obviously is lost in the shuffle. I'm not sure it was the right time to take the belt off Dominic anywhere, but what do you do with that guy now? You know, he got pinned by Dominic Mysterio, for God's sake. So now what? So there's a lot. There's a lot of interesting things here, but the execution of things is kind of LA Knight still nowhere near the world title. Still is everybody's just okay with this crown jewel shit. That's one of the things that's pissing me off is you book these matches and there's no contenders. There's nobody saying what's going to happen once this match is over. Like, who cares if Seth Rollins loses to Cody Rhodes? Okay, so he doesn't lose his title. So why aren't people trying to win the title? Like, what's happening here? Nobody wants Cody's belt. Nobody wants Stephanie's belt. Nobody wants these belts. Where are the tag team champions on these shows? Well, there's no one contender for no tag team titles. I mean, the mid card on Raw is just abysmal. It's worse on SmackDown, but it's terrible on Raw. You book these stupid matches, and there's no conversation at all about what the next step is. So you can put all this energy into Cody and Seth. Who are their opponents afterwards? That's what I want to figure out. Who wants to be the world champion? Oh, LA Knight still floating around. You mean the same LA Knight that just got beat by Jey Uso? Come on, man. Come on, brother. What about who wants to be the WWE champion? Drew McIntyre just got beat up by Jacob Fatu? Come on, man. I don't know. Look, I'm not one to argue with success. Apparently, they're selling out every building they go into. Ticket prices are through the roof. It is what it is. I just don't see what people are seeing and loving that much about TKO WWE. I've been a big negative of it the entire time. And it's not getting any better. It's just consistently boring. And people are saying, like, well, they're pop merchants. Triple H is a pop merchant. Guess what? That's what wrestling is now. It's been that way since like 1996, dog. People have just been doing shit for the pops. The Giant joins the NWO for no good fucking reason. What's the name? Sting joins the NWO for no reason. Like, come on. Like, all of these things people have been doing for pops. People are mad that Triple H is pop farming. Who cares? All these motherfuckers are pop farming. The sad thing is that Vince Russo is the one who is doing the complaining. Bro, you pass the title 2-3 times a week to pop farm. Who gives a shit? I wish that these things will have a longer term impact, which is what I want. So I'm not a fan of, pop farming, but if you're going to do it, at least give it some long-term impact. So when Roman Reigns popped up to save the Usos on Raw, at least it has some kind of long-form storyline reason, because Roman is feuding with the Bronze. He's also been a negative influence on Jey. So these things make sense, He's not just doing it to do it. If he was just pop farming, he just, he pull somebody else out there and throw him out there to help. Even like CM Punk or something like that. But people are like, oh, he's booking for pops. They all booking for pops. You think that they setting people on fire for no reason in AEW? Of course they're booking for pops. You think they not making guys take power drivers off the second apron because they're not booking for pops? Are you kidding me? Bro, shut up. Do these people think about the things that they say? A lot of these people who are claiming that Triple H is just booking for pops, it's all shit you've been watching for years and years now. Almost everybody books for pops. This is what they do. This is what they've been doing since 1996. Heel turn pops. Return pops. All kinds of stuff. Debut pops. That's all AEW was for like the first 3 years, was debut pops. And somebody smashing through some kind of table. What are you going to do in the long term? And that's my question. That's my concern. That's my problem. That's why I ask questions like, who is next for Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins? Because I don't care about this non-canon ass champion versus champion match they're going to have. Nobody gives a shit who wins. It doesn't mean anything. You're not going to see that crown jewel title for a year. They're not going to talk about the ring at all or anything like that either. It's not going to matter in 2 weeks. Who is going to contend for the titles? Who is in the contention for the belts? We're just going to have a shitty triple threat match probably. Because putting together a storyline is too hard. Like, share, subscribe, and talk to you guys later. Peace out.
Yeah. We're just going